Scott,
Right.
thank you for the
Scott?
introduction. Steve, how are
Yes,
you? Let's make sure your mic's coming through.
I am coming through. Can you guys hear me?
Fantastic. Okay, well, Steve,
Yes.
it is going to be one hell of a presentation today. Thank you to everyone who came. As you know, we have never seen this many people on a webinar before, and that partly has to do probably with us working with big institutions like Zacks,
Oh, wow,
who
yeah.
have such a large user base that when their customers hear something about artificial intelligence, we have to be prepared for a gigantic theatrical presentation. That's what
Well,
we got for our audience today. So
that
let's
is the buzzword.
before we go.
That is the buzzword these days.
That's right. Before we go, Steve, a disclaimer for all of the
Okay.
people. Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor. There will be no solicitations to buy or sell securities from anything that is presented by myself, Scott, Steve, or any other member of Trade Ideas. Should you need specific advice, please consult a registered investment advisor. Thank you. Let's begin, Steve.
Mm-hmm. Ah,
Steve, like I said, I think you and I are going to have some dialogue on this webinar because with this many people here, they really need to kind of hear it. And what I want to really talk about more, instead of just slides, is more of the psychology. I want to talk about you. Imagine you're sitting on the couch with me, and I'm your shrink, and I'm asking you to be honest with yourself and tell me, right now, would you have believed if I told you what was going to happen now? Would you have believed it when you came on board? When you came on board knowing everything that you had known about first the futures market, then the SOS market, then the continued swing trading market, then the educational market, and then finally, through the 25 years coming back to Trade Ideas. Would you have suspected that I could be right if I told you what you're seeing now?
right about what?
Would you have believed that the AI could do what it was doing?
The performance of the AI. No, I probably would have said you're crazy.
And why would you have done that?
Because human beings see things that computers can't, and we've got 10,000 hours, and we have nuances, and many other reasons. I just would not have believed you.
But wouldn't you also say that one of the big ones, for the same reason, by the way, where you and I are in the same boat, I wouldn't have believed it either.
No.
Because all the experience that you and I have seen, I've seen traders go on streaks too, like 5 months, 5 weeks. Some dudes just can't be stopped. But then like basketball, or golf, somebody else comes along and, but what we have here is a Tiger Woods-esque situation, if you know what I mean. And that goes back to the beginning of our presentation right now. No man is better than a machine, and no machine is better than a man with a machine. Here's what we have right here, ladies and gentlemen, from Zacks. And again, we've never had this many people before, but listen to this. We have a one-of-a-kind product that's going to change the world of investing. And Steve and I are going to take you through a tour of it. But again, let's start by understanding that neither of us would have believed what's happening here had somebody told us. You literally have to see it to believe it, right, Steve?
Well, if Doc from Back to the Future came to the future and said, Dan, Steve, you're not going to believe how people trade in the future, we would have said, get out of here.
Right. Totally. So one of the reasons why our approach is so different is because the way data is processed today really is different than it used to be even in 2008, Steve. There's just so much more happening, and you have to have this kind of technology that lets you really be able to see lots of things at once. Why do we have the slide where we're talking about which wolf are you? It's a metaphor for the fact that when investors and so many people in Zacks and in obviously people that use Trade Ideas are also self-directed investors who look to not just simply give their money to someone else like everybody else is doing, but to make it do something unusual, right? And the question is about the approach, Steve. Which wolf are you? When you were chasing, the prey, Do you know which, are you the wolf in front or are you the wolf in the back?
Yeah, some days I felt in front, some days I felt in back.
But it's not always easy for the human to tell.
No.
That's the thing, and that's what we're trying to bring to the table, metaphorically speaking. So think about all the different times that you, the audience, has been in the market and you wanted to buy a stock, whether it was IBM or Coca-Cola or McDonald's or Exxon or Google or Facebook or any of the other ones. And when you bought it, remember how many times when you bought it and it didn't exactly go the way you thought? That's the wolf situation. That's when you don't know which wolf you are. So it's 2017. We found out that there's a secret. The wolf pack is not the most efficient way to hunt for the animal known as alpha. Steve, what is alpha, if I could ask you for an interlude?
Alpha would be the marginal difference between a benchmark and a particular given trade or a set of trades. If the S&P was only up 1% one day and you just pulled out 5%, well, then you had a nice spread of alpha outperforming the general benchmarks. That's my understanding.
Exactly. So Steve, this is where you and I have discussed this topic before, but most people they approach the financial markets in a way that I would call eyes wide shut, which is what I mean when you completely only give your money to other people to manage. You can, of course, only do as well as an index, which is average, correct? I mean, how can you outperform when you are in an index with everybody else? It's just not the way that you can ever do that. So let's start there. But how do you then outperform the index? How do you do it? Well, we talked about how the wolf pack is not the right way. But then here is the approach that we use. We have what's called pattern recognition algorithms that are searching for all sorts of different ways historically that stocks have gone up in the past. And in this case, Steve, it almost goes back to a very good commercial that Scottrade did, which was one of our enterprise clients recently acquired by TD Ameritrade, where they said trade ideas is like 1,000 pairs of eyes. So with this leopard, you have 1,000 pairs of eyes, like 1,000 leopards sitting on branches looking for opportunities. Many of them will see nothing, but the ones that spot the opportunity, what will they do, Steve? They will pounce. Do you not agree? And when they pounce, this is what happens. Steve, I want to make sure, is your audio working still? Because you were quiet there.
Good call. I had the secret mute button somehow hard muted.
Were you and I in the middle of a great conveation? And
I was mostly listening, but yes, I agreed with you on the pounce of the leopard, and a good transition into the slide showing that people are getting it.
Well, this is the thing. Yeah, people are starting to get it. And remember, guys, I mean, and this is why Zacks is so smart to bring this critical information to you. And so many people here, again, we're just honored to have this many people watch this webinar. Look at the growth. Who else in fintech is doing anything like this? Who else is going to introduce you to something that you have never seen before in your life?
I haven't seen anybody, but if they were, they'd be bragging about it, so we would see it.
Correct. Well, we're about to show these people something that's so dramatically different from anything that they have ever seen before. That, Steve, one of my biggest worries is kind of like this thing from Doctor Who where they go, show somebody something that's 10% better and they love it. Show them something that's 300% better and they think it's magic. They don't believe it.
They don't understand it.
That's right. That's where we're at. Our biggest worry is you're not going to believe it because you're going to think it's impossible. They must be cheating. But no, just like IBM's artificial intelligence beat the chess guy, and then
Jeopardy.
Jeopardy, and then
Right.
who was it? Microsoft that beat the Go players?
I believe it was, yes, the black and white chip game, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, here you
and then
have.
recently, maybe you're going to go there. I'm sorry for stepping on you, but recently, AIEQ is an ETF that was launched, which is Watson trying to pick the market. And as far as we're concerned, Watson is looking under the wrong rocks to pick good market alpha. Would you agree?
100%. Watson will have to come talk to Holly if he wants to play in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a really good article about that on the Wall Street Journal, but we'll save that for another presentation. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, while Steve and I are talking about what's happening, and again, Steve, you and I both know also every morning that we wake up, it's exciting, right? Because you're like, what
First
the
thing
heck
you
is
look
going to
at
happen
is
today?
who's on the deck today, who's on the starting lineup today, how many shorts, how many longs, what strategies.
I mean,
Let's
it's
ring the
it's
bell.
almost like we've got this technology that's a mixture of Bloomberg and the National Football League. You know, there's like this sports-esque aspect of being able to watch it do what it does. And then, of course, there's the financial and performance element that is so incredible because, again, we have taken a new step, just like Uber and Google before it and Yahoo before it. We have done that thing. This is what it looks like, ladies and gentlemen. So this was yesterday.
It was yesterday, exactly. And if you recall, yesterday it was kind of a flat market,
Oh,
green and red, and barely back to green on the close. Pretty much a nowhere day in the bigger picture.
yeah, and Steve's showing you how many points we were able to capture in these trades and things like Riot. I mean, my goodness gracious. I mean, look at the percentages. You know, so $7 stock was up 43 cents. These aren't also day trades too. The reason that Steve's bringing this up is the point being here is our artificial intelligence shows investors how to take advantage of supply and demand inefficiency in the market. And then it walks you through the behavior. So it tells you when to get in, it tells you how you're doing, and then it gives you suggested things that you can do, like here's a timed exit, here's maybe I would take some profit because it's going back against me.
Trailing stop,
Here,
yeah.
here it's really coming against me, so I want to reduce risk. And even at below on CBMX, look, stop hit, I want to get out. So it's talking to you. Very soon, by the way, there will be a voice. But right now it's just through words written. But look at what it's doing. Look at the percentage gainers and the way it's performing. This is, again, something that you're never going to see anywhere else. What I want to do now real quick, Steve, is I want to take a small pause. And
Right.
I'm going to minimize
Slide.
this. Well, I'm going to switch, really, because it's web-based, I'm going to switch to just a different browser. And what I want to show everybody at Zacks is the future incarnate. So here it is. This is the first ever look of our artificial intelligence on HTML5. That means if you wanted to, Zacks could provide something like this to you tomorrow. Of course, they would have to talk to us first, but you get my drift. HTML5, just like the slide was our downloadable application, here you have the Netflix for the stock market. If you want to check out Alpha Predator, where things are moving very quickly, like this stock, Lightbridge, and of course, things like this, Kingtone Wireless. Look at the volatility and the opportunities as the stock today goes from $3 to $8 in one day. This is what's happening today in the stock market, and these are the kind of things that are simply underreported, Steve. Wouldn't you agree?
Yep. Yep. The things that are not on the typical radar that they're talking about on CNBC and even Twitter, FinTwits, or
Of course.
StockTwits for that matter.
And the bottom line too is don't be scared to think that it all has to be like this. I'm sorry, like that move in KONE where it's very volatile, right? Of course, this is big, but it doesn't have to be like that. Look at this TMTR, which is just simply continuing out of a trend reversal, which our artificial intelligence looks for all the time.
So what Dan has on the left-hand side there is what we call the channel bar. He referred to it as like surfing on Netflix. If you're interested in short squeeze stocks, so you could go to a short squeeze. What you got here is a pre-configured layout. All the work's been done for you, broken down by theme, whether it's an earnings channel or a high alpha channel or a pre-market channel or a social media channel, or in this case, stocks that all have very high short floats. We even have a channel for stocks that have low floats. So 95% of the work of configuring really actionable ideas has already been done for you on the channel bar. And what Dan is showing you is how easy it is to just manipulate through the channels and find the theme that you're looking for. And you'll start to focus and hone in on strategies and windows that you seem to like that work best for you and your methodology.
Well, Steve, not only that, but you're also brilliantly highlighting another, what I think is one of the power plays of our technology, which is, that I'm drinking my Diet Coke with both hands. And yet, what is the software doing?
It is surfing through ideas.
Correct. The software is currently on auto surf, and you can see it says currently idea surfing, because the whole point is you could be doing something on the side, like you can have another browser where you're on, maybe you're reading something, or you're doing some research, or you're typing, or you don't have to have all of your attention like in this fight or flight mode, right? The software is going to serve things up to you so that you can take a look passively. And sometimes those are the best ways. And notice as soon as you put your mouse.
Click on that. Yeah, click on that, because I see that chart and I see, oh, that's an interesting pattern on the daily. A big gap up, couldn't fill the gap, and pushing through to new highs. So your eyes see that and you go, oh, wait a minute, what was that? And you stop the surfing and then you examine.
That's it. Make notations and move along. And that's the beauty of approaching the market in this completely new and I would say technologically enabled way. This is the sophisticated way that one looks at market information. Notice everything is together. Instead of having you worry about tinkering with something, trying to set things up, what you have is 25 years of industry expertise already brought together.
I just had the visual of a dad riding his kid on the bike for the first time, running behind him, pushing, and then launching him on his own.
Well, I love that you said that, because I'm going to bring that up in just 1 second. So, as I said before, for the first time, today is the first day, and Steve, right?
I've seen it. I got a chance earlier through the back channels, but I'm really getting a good look at it now.
So this is, like I said, it's kind of a surprise and a treat for everybody. But as I mentioned before, look at the performance, the gainers. By the way, look at the worst trade today.
15 cents.
15-cent loser, 12-cent loser, 11-cent loser. Come on, Steve.
Risk management.
Crazy. This is a Looney Tunes type of performance. And what's happening is that people are starting to realize it, that there's been a technological breakthrough. And that's, again, why we are so privileged to be able to work with the Zacks and our other large partners like eSignal, etc. We partner trade ideas with virtually every single player in finance, because when you're the only one with the artificial intelligence, Steve, for some reason, you become everybody's best buddy.
And you have subscriber growth charts like you showed earlier.
Okay, so one of the things that I want to address too is, well, how did all of this happen, and what is how we really differentiate this technology from everything else that you see? And that's really what's happening on the back end. And what I want to talk about is right now, while we are doing this presentation, and this is really kind of the crux of this whole thing that we're going to do today, is that Our software, while we are presenting, while Steve and I are talking and educating you about what we do and how cool it is and different it is from everyone else, the software is actually right now doing what we call alpha mining. It is going through every trade that happened today because we have access to that data and going through them like that leopard in the slide, trying to see where should I have been pouncing, studying quantitatively for statistical advantages of what should I be doing, so that, see here, these back-tested win rates, tomorrow there will be a whole new set of strategies with a whole different set of win rates based on today's data. So every single day, this is why this is called Holly AI. The AI automatically learns from today with today's new information of how different stocks reacted to the futures and the markets and the bonds and the whatever and the news, etc. The software learns all of that, makes notations, and is ready again tomorrow. That's the future, Steve.
Mm-hmm. The quantitative combine, we call that. Every evening, the AI is doing over 1 million practice trades and filtering and refiltering and jiggering and rejiggering to come up with the optimum strategy. And if the certain strategy doesn't make the cut, then it goes back into the hopper for tomorrow's quantitative combine. So every day we have a little different mixture of the most up-to-date information. And what people don't, or people need to realize, is when the AI is going through that quantitative combine, it's not looking at charts, it's looking at pure data flow, and it's looking at scatter plots and looking at data in the way in which we and our human brains just don't do.
Absolutely.
It's all part of
game.
Yeah, it's all part of the machine learning. Mm-hmm.
What we have, Steve, is like as if the MIT card counting team was working for you in the stock market.
Great example.
That's basically the best way to say it, and drop the mic. But let me tell you why I'm so excited right now. And again, and you know, you've seen me since 1998. Steve and I have been working together for ages. And I'm excitable and I'm a passionate guy, but you know, right now I'm at the peak of the excitement that I've ever been. And my goodness, we've been doing this for 14 years and I'm as excited right now as I've ever been because of what you're seeing, which is the HTML5 version of this AI, which will hopefully break down a lot of barriers, Steve, because now all of a sudden this can be in Iceland tomorrow, you know, no downloadable stuff, no firewall bullshit. I mean, excuse me, BS. Sorry, Zach, I'm too passionate. Bleep.
Indeed.
I'm like Eminem. Just excuse the performance. At any rate, this is what we're excited about. So what this means is, if we had any kind of large enterprise partners, whether it's Zacks, Reuters, or anybody else, or our brokerage partners, we can now get this technology, this information on millions of desktops, Steve, whereas before we were hindered by that you had to download something. That's
right.
Gone. That's a gigantic leap forward, and we are expecting so much excitement this year and the next because of that. Because again, this information has that potential to go viral. And I'm just very excited that Zacks was the first to give us this unbelievable audience so that we could present, you know, the artificial intelligence in all of its glory to, again, an amount of people that we've never seen before, but we are privileged to present to.
Yeah, we've had our basic alerts, scanners, and top list on the HTML5 version, but really this is the first look that we've all seen, including myself today, at migrating the AI module over to the web. And like Dan says, it's opening up infinite possibilities.
Well, that's why technology and the whole medium of communication, it's so amazing that we can do a presentation like this and our audience, again, incredible numbers, get to see something and be first to see it, because today is the first day it's ever come out. That's kind of cool. I mean, and that's what makes it worthwhile to attend these types of webinars and why we got the kind of numbers we have. I mean, you would not have the kind of numbers that we have if you didn't have the product that we have. That's just simple as that.
Yep.
So what I want to do now is go back to our presentation and kind of finish up and say thank you to everybody. Number one, as a thank you for attending this webinar, we want you to be able to get our trade of the week. It's free. It's one of the ways that we just say thank you, and it's one of the ways that you can sample a component of our artificial intelligence. This is really where man and machine come together, because our AI kind of gives you the high-level list, and Steve is himself the man with the AI in hand and comes up with the Trade Ideas Trade of the Week, an incredible product that's produced results like Weight Watchers and PayPal and Weight Watchers. I mean, it's been written about by other people what Steve did there. I mean, 300% incredible. Very good job. And we do that for free. So it's trade-ideas.com/free.
Yeah, and the email comes with some nice content as to the reasoning for the trade, the scan that we found the trade on using our technology, and some targets and stops and some ideas. So it's pretty educational, and it's a great value because free is a good price.
Of course, we're a technology company, so we should be easy to get a hold of. We're active on social media. Like us on Facebook, or feel free to send us an email to info@trade-ideas.com, or my own personal, dan@trade-ideas.com. We have a phone number. Follow us on Twitter @trade-ideas.com. I'm sorry, @trade-ideas1, that's myself, and @todaytrader, that's my good friend Steve Gomez here, who is very involved with everything related to our customer interaction program and how people are educated on the software. Steve's one of our first users and knows as much about the technology as anyone else. So with that, I want to say thank you everyone for attending this webinar. Thank you, Steve. And again, incredible audience, and we look forward to hearing back from you when all the people from this webinar get a chance to sample the product.
Yeah, and I might just include before we sign off, the info@trade-ideas.com is our main hub for incoming emails. We've got excellent hour-long YouTube videos that can go much deeper dive into the product. We can invite you to Friday tech support sessions, which are the same format we're doing right now, a GoToWebinar, and open floor. We can help people. So the onboarding, the concierge, and the customer service and getting people up to speed on our product is really second to none.
Fantastic. Thank you everyone for attending. Scott, thank you. Thank you.
Hey, everybody.